Hey guys, Cypher here. I hope you guys are enjoying your day, and I hope you guys also enjoy this video where I'm going to be talking about New World, a new MMORPG game that is going to be released in May of 2020, and is going to also have a beta release in April of 2020. So I'm going to briefly talk about how to get into the beta real quick. So there's two ways right now to get into the beta. Is one, you can go to their website and do a beta sign up and hopefully get a email confirmation that you're in the beta. I have not gotten one. And or the second one to guarantee a beta spot is to pre-order the game, um, and that will guarantee you a spot in the beta. So other points about the beta is the beta will not roll into the new game, into the release, meaning that all your progress from the beta is going to be erased when the game comes out. So basically, the only thing you're going to be gaining from the beta is just information, which could be valuable to you or not. Now, this video specifically I'm going to be talking about is New World and kind of the basics of it and my thoughts and potentially concerns on.
It is an eternal island of legend, a place of unimaginable beauty and a growing evil, where the forces of death and life are in constant conflict. For centuries, many have come in search of its power. Only to fall to its corruption. And now, you have come to this place, lured by the promise of power and immortality. The darkness will claim you.
Well, that was a trailer for New World. My first impressions of the trailer is it looks absolutely amazing. And not only does it look amazing, it has an interesting storyline behind it as well because it has this type of material that is unknown, and for some reason, it is able to corrupt things and also give life to things. So it's kind of like the yin and the yang, um, where it probably has some sort of balance. And I'm assuming that this is going to be uh, maybe used for enchantments. Maybe it's going to be used periodically or throughout your crafting. Who knows? But just from the look of this trailers, is it encapsulate me, and it looks absolutely amazing. Um, since this trailer has been released, they have released now, I believe, 4 to 5 other videos that kind of go a little bit more in detail with the game. I'm not gonna go into too much detail of what the developer said. I am going to be giving links to those if you want to go more in detail with it, but I'm just going to now go over my thoughts and potential concerns of this game, because I do have a couple concerns with this game, relating to how it's going to be with, especially with the PvP type of action. So let's get into what the developers have made and these other videos as well. So, as shown a little bit in the trailer, is we have this material that is able to corrupt things and bring things to life. And this material that the producers have called it is Azoth. And Azoth was harnessed by a civilization called the Ancients. And they were able to harness this material into their technology. And as far as we know, because unfortunately the ancients actually civilization no longer exist, there are some speculations of that the ancients were maybe potentially wiped out by the corrupted, where the corrupted in the trailer is going to be the basically red people that you've seen. Um, that harness Azoth for darkness. Then you have your other two groups of AI, which is going to be the Lost, which is going to be considered your undead faction. Um, and they're basically the souls that are lost. They didn't really explain too much about what they're going to be doing potentially. I mean, we don't really know what any of them are going to be doing, but they're basically lost souls that may have washed up on the shore. Because when you start in the game, from what they've said, is you wash up on a shore from a boat. Um, so it may be souls that potentially died while they were getting washed up, and their souls are now lost. And then the last one that we know about is called Angry Earth, and they are basically the island's defense system, basically trying to exterminate all foreign invaders. And so, with all four of these, the Lost, the Angry Earth, the Corrupted, and the Ancients, that makes up your AI groups. And then you obviously have your players, and what do they get to do? Well, once you get to a certain level, I believe it's going to be level 20, you have the option to join a faction. There are currently 3 factions that we know about. I don't know if they're going to expand it anymore, but they said 3. And these factions are also in battles with each other. So this kind of I like to kind of make this game under the genre of PvP versus E, where not only you versing the elements and the AI, you are also versing other players. Um, so this is kind of an interesting twist. And then, what do these players do? Well, the game is set up in a territorial base system. They haven't explained too much about territory. I know they briefly discussed about if you own a certain territory, you may be potentially getting more, you may be getting buffs from it. Um, but in order to get territory, you can either do 2 options. Either one, buy the plot of land with your group of people, and that plot of land will now be your factions group. Or 2, if it's an enemy's faction, PvP wise. I'm not sure about AI, that'll be interesting. There might be some fort battles with AI. That would be interesting to take new territory that AI have controlled. But in order to take over an enemy faction, you actually do a 50v50 battle um, at their fort, and whoever wins basically takes over that territory. Um, this is actually pretty interesting because the way that they're setting it up is it's actually going to be at a specific time. Now, if a side doesn't have as much, I believe it's not gonna count. I believe it's probably gonna continue on to a next day. But there's at least some sort of sign up sheet. You can't just come into a fort and when everybody's offline and just take over the entire tour. Because I know that's a big thing, especially in like Rust, for example. Like you just spent 6 hours on your base. You obviously need to go to bed, and you come back in the morning and everything's gone. So that's kind of nice with that. Inside those settlements, you're able to have a house, um, and your house actually, even if it's a opposing faction that owns that settlement, you can still own a house in that settlement, even though you're in the opposing faction, which is quite interesting. And I'm just really interested to see how that's gonna work. Like, can we potentially like if there's an enemy faction that's living in our settlement, can we potentially tax them harder? Because the way that the settlements work is you have a group of people. So like let's say you have a group of friends of 10. Your group of friends of 10 are inside of a faction, and let's say for some you're the leader of that group of people, um, not the faction, just the group of people, and your group of people take over the settlement, and you're the leader. You then become the governor, and any of your officers will become consuls, which is basically officers of the city. And what you're able to do as governor is you're able to base taxes on them, increase taxes, decrease taxes, and you can also decide what settlement projects to work on. So, for example, if you want to increase the blacksmithing to the next level, you would then make that your settlement project, and every material that people donate or put into the settlement will go to that project. Um, So that's kind of how that works, and it would be quite interesting to see how that interacts if you're living inside of enemy faction settlement, because I feel like it might be a little bit frowned upon. Um, so they also spoke about a little bit about the PvP. So what I'm understanding from the PvP at least is it's not going to be automatic PvP enrollment. You're not going to get enrolled into PvP until you're 20 in a faction. So this kind of is nice because this doesn't actually allow uh, higher level people to grief lower level people, which is definitely can be an issue in some MMORPG games. Kind of talking about more about the PvP side, because I'm definitely very interested in the PvP side and taking over settlements. Is like I said, it's going to be a 50v50 battle, and it looks like, from what I can tell from some of the videos that have actually just been released, is you're going to actually be able to get points during this battle, and these points you can use to upgrade, either get trebuchets, get catapults, get towers, and actually perform a siege on there. And I am very excited to this. Looking at the gameplays, it is I'm really excited because I really want to try to get a 50 group of people and just enact Sparta. Like that would be so cool. Having a nice cooperated group together to try to overcome the odds of like a 300 group would be amazing. Um, but I'm not sure how the world PvP is going to be um, instituted. I know previously in their alpha, they had I think they called them bandits, I believe, and basically they're the people that are going to be going around killing everybody. Um, I'm not sure how that's going to work with a faction. So, like, let's say in your faction, you have a bandit. You have a bandit that's technically on your side in the faction. Will that bandit be able to kill you, or is that a thing? I think they gotten rid of that, but it would be pretty interested if how the world PvP is going to work. Can I just kill any random faction without worrying about getting attacked from my own action or losing anything? Um, and then the other thing, just because I play World of Warcraft a lot, is how is the servers going to be structured? Are we going to be like from World of Warcraft? Are we going to be layered? Are we going to be able to see everybody in there? Because I know right now, at least with your houses, they are going to be technically layered. You're only going to be able to see your house, unless you are invited to somebody else's house. Then you will be able to see another person's house. So if you claim a plot of land in a settlement, you're going to first see your house, for instance. But if your friend owns the same plot of land, you won't see his house unless he invites you to their group. So that's how that works. I'm curious to see how they're going to be doing that for World PvP. Um, and then kind of my thoughts and concerns about this is, I used to play a game called Rend. It was made by Frostkeep Studios, and that game was made in 2018 or 2017. And if some of you guys are wondering, are like, what is this game? Is well, it died. They actually just put on Discord that the game has now all the servers have closed in January of 2020, and honestly, I think the reason for this is because of the one, there were so many servers, and two, it was so easy to move between servers. So a little bit background of what Rend was is it's a PvP versus E game like style.
Let me know
You
once you're
had
getting there.
again three factions that you would basically craft and um, fight the elements and fight the people. And then every twice a week you would have an invasion from the elements, and then after that invasion you can potentially invade people's fortresses. And so what kind of happened was there would be a snowfall effect, and one faction potentially will start leading. And then once they start leading, they're able to basically destroy the other factions. And it was kind of sad because honestly, they kind of made two or three mistakes. Was one, they put out, I think, at least 100 servers across the board of European and American servers. It was insane. The other one is you were able to see how many faction members were online at the time that you logged in. Um, so, for example, the some things that we would do is we debate on whether or not we want to go PvP. And the way that we would do it would we would just log out quickly, see how many people are online, and if it's a less number than us, then we decide to go PvP. I really hope that New World does not allow us to see how many people are online in enemy factions or even our own faction, because this can potentially sway people to join the bigger faction, which actually tended to happen. Um, the other thing that was a big killer was they allowed um, transitioning from one server to the next server pretty easily. Um, which I don't know how to do that besides potentially lowering the number of servers, but if your team or your faction just wasn't gonna win, they people just left. They just left. They never came back. And it was sad because eventually you had just one faction online 24/7 trying to win the game, and it was basically becoming a PvE game, which nobody really liked. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'm going to be putting the links in the description below to the New World website as well as the New World videos. The New World videos definitely go in more detail of what the producers are actually doing, where I'm just kind of speculating. Um, I know they also recently released two new videos today and yesterday that actually go more in detail with the PvP and housing, where I showed kind of brief clips of that. If you want to check that out, I'll be putting that in the description. I'm also probably going to be setting up like a Google Doc sheet or some type of Discord sign up. Um, to get a community together for New World in May of 2020, because I feel like that would be a lot of fun to get some community events going and just have a blast PvPing, maybe even maybe probably getting stream sniped. Who cares? It's all fun and games with the community. Um, but feel free to come and check me out at Cypher Ellie at Twitch. That's where I mostly stream. And yeah, I hope you guys like and subscribe.